This is from Josh. Says, hi, Matt. I realize a lot of people get their news from social media. Snapchat's prevailing news outlet is Daily Mail. This was one of their big headlines on their Snap. He gives a link. What do you think? Is the study credible? The study Josh links to has the blaring headline, nearly 100% of U.S. women who got abortions say it was the right decision 5 years after undergoing the procedure. Study finds. Now, before so 100% of women, nearly 100% of women do not regret their abortion after 5 years, according to this study. Before we even read anything about this study or consider it in any depth at all, we already know this can't be true. It cannot be true. You cannot possibly find 100% agreement among people on anything. Even less can you find 100% of people who agree that they have no regrets about a particular thing. Even less if it's something like abortion that we're talking about. Now, even if I believed that abortion is good, I still wouldn't expect anything close to 100% of women to not regret doing it. You know, I wouldn't expect 100% of people who, I don't know, had omelets for breakfast this morning to not regret having the omelet. People have regrets. It's a normal human thing. There's no way you're going to find nearly 100% agreement or 100% of people who are confident and have no regrets about a particular choice, no matter what the choice is. But we understand that something like abortion, even if you think it's fine, you're wrong, but even if you think it's fine, you must at least understand that it's a consequential, very emotional decision. So there are going to be regrets. This would be like if I pulled up a study saying that nearly 100% of couples that get divorced don't regret it. Now, even if you think that most divorces are justified and you don't see any problem with divorce, you must also realize that it is the kind of thing that a large percentage of people tend to regret. It's that kind of thing. So the same would be for abortion. And then when you have, on top of that, of course, as I've personally talked to, or heard from a great many women who deeply and profoundly regret their abortions. So we know those women exist. You can easily talk to them. Talk to anyone who works at a crisis pregnancy center or a pregnancy resource center. And most of these places have post-abortive counseling, and ask them. Okay, their post-abortive counseling sessions are not empty. When these women come in, I don't think they're all lying. By the way, if you showed me a study saying that 100% of parents who have children don't regret it, I would say BS to that too. 100%? No. But I'm supposed to believe that 100% of women who kill their children don't regret it? That's obviously absurd. So I'm going into this with extreme skepticism, but let's take a look at it. Reading from the article, it says, deciding to terminate a pregnancy is certainly a difficult decision for most, but the majority of women also report they believe they made the right decision immediately after aborting. New University of California, San Francisco research found that they almost universally feel the same way 5 years down the line, further debunking notions that abortion harms women. Which, by the way, that doesn't even follow. Even if this was true, it would not at all prove that abortion doesn't harm women. It's possible for a person to be harmed by something that they don't regret. I think we could all come up with examples of stuff. So already this article is a silly propaganda piece, but we'll continue. Having negative emotions after what for some is a difficult decision, a big deal in their lives, experience some guilt and negative emotions. I would be shocked if we didn't find that. UCSF study co-author Dr. Corinne Rocca told Daily Mail, negative emotions are not something to legislate. It's natural. And her study published in Social Science and Medicine found that these emotions fade over time. Added Dr. Rocca, I think it's really encouraging to find that negative emotions go down over time. She and her team conducted a total of 11 interviews with nearly 1,000 American women who underwent abortions over the course of 5 years following their procedures. At first, more than half of the women interviewed as part of the Turnaway study, a data collection project designed to track the short and long-term effects of abortion on a woman's well-being, had positive emotions a week after their procedures. 20% said they didn't feel much about the procedure, while 17% said they had negative emotions about their abortions. As their lives moved on post-abortion, the number of women who had little or no feelings about their abortions increased significantly. By the time it was 5 years out, just 6% had any vestigial negative feelings. At the 5-year mark, 99% of those women said that having the abortion had been the right decision for them. Dr. Rocca also notes that there's a small proportion of people who regret any decision they make. There's no part of me that wants to reduce the struggle of people who come to a place where they wish they had made a different decision, and I hope they get the counseling they need. But it's misguided to then let that guide the overwhelming majority of people who seek this care. Okay, so big problems as expected. First is that the author of the study, Dr. Rocca, is clearly biased. It's obvious that she's pro-abortion, that she wants women to not regret the abortion. She has opinions about public policy. She's commenting on legislation. So this is not science. This is advocacy. Science cannot be partisan. If you're doing real research, you can't go into it with your pom-poms out, rooting for one side. If you do that, it negates the conclusions completely. This kind of thing is an embarrassment. But these, like every study you see with these, I've talked about it plenty of times in the past. These kinds of studies that get the blaring headlines and that are used by one side or the other to prove one point or the other, when you actually read the studies, you find so often, it seems like in the majority of cases, to begin with, these studies are conducted by partisans who are looking to prove a point. And if that is how a study is conducted, it is useless. You can learn nothing from it, other than the fact that a lot of people don't know how to conduct actual scientific studies. And then we get to the real kicker, which the Daily Mail article buries several paragraphs into the article. Writing in the Catholic Medical Association's journal, anti-abortionist, how do you like that? Dr. David Reardon noted that less than a third of the 3,000 women who were offered the chance to make $50 by participating in the study actually stuck with it, with more dropping out with each round of interviews. As studies go, 1,000 participants isn't a huge number, even when it's controlled to be representative of the country, as the Turnaway study is. So there you go. When you hear that, by 5 years out, all the women say they don't regret the abortions, that's because most of them have dropped out of the study. So they don't tell you that, right? They don't tell you. Daily Mail knows that they have to include that information somewhere. If they're going to, if this is going to be some semblance of an actual news article, you can't leave that out completely. But what they do is they give you the headline, they give you everything about the study, and at the very bottom, they include the little tidbit that negates everything you just read. But they know that most people aren't going to get down to that tidbit and aren't going to read it. Most people will just see the headline and take that at face value. And of the people who click it, most will probably read about one paragraph at most. I mean, the average, article online is read for about 20 seconds or something like that. And so the Daily Mail knows that. And so at the very bottom, it's kind of like there's an asterisk at the very bottom. It says, by the way, nothing that you just read means anything. Yeah, the people who stick with it feel that way. That's why they stuck with it. But the majority have dropped out of the study. Why did they drop out? So you have 1,000 people to only 1,000 people to begin with. So this cannot be a representative sample. It's way too small to be a representative sample of the country or of post-abortive women at large. So this blaring headline makes a statement about what 100% of post-abortive women think, and then you find out that they only talked to 1,000 of them, and of that 1,000, most of them didn't finish the study. Now, why might someone refuse to be a part of this study in the first place? Why might they drop out in the middle? Well, I can think of one big reason. It might be because this was a traumatic experience and they don't want to talk about it. So of that chunk of people, the majority who either didn't want to take the study or didn't finish it, it's safe to speculate that a large number of them probably do regret their abortions, and that's why they didn't want to take the study, or at least one of the reasons why. So this study is just completely bogus and pointless and useless. But I did, I went and checked on Google, and of course the media's picked this up, and they're spreading it all around. Oh, look at that! No women regret their abortions. What do you know? I mean, we've been hearing from women for years who say they regret their abortions. Turns out, according to this study, those women don't exist. They're figments of our imagination. Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Matt Walsh Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there so you can stay up to date on all of our future content.